At LV, our car insurance comes from the heart. That's why we've just launched our new multi-car cover. One policy and one renewal date means it's one simple way for you to save on your family's cars. So just imagine how much you can save by insuring 2, 3, or even more cars with us. To get your exclusive multi-car discount from the Which Insurance Provider of the Year 2017, go direct to lv.com. T's and C's apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, podcasting since 2005. You are listening to Gamer Tag Radio with your hosts Godfrey, Pete Rock, Paris, Paustin. Come on. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? It's Pete Rock here with Gamer Tag Radio, whole new episode. We're a little short-handed this week, so it's only going to be myself and my guest, Paustin J. What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. We got the two premier first-person shooter guys from the team here, not the scrubs, Danny and Paris.
They're fun to play co-op with, right? You know, it's fun to hang out in Destiny, but when you want to get serious, put on the Ghost Recon Rainbow Six goggles. It takes a certain mindset. Pete, I'm sure, as you understand.
Absolutely. Actually, you know what? Shout out to Cicero over from the Spawn on Me podcast. Was playing some Rainbow Six last night with him.
Oh, nice.
If you follow either of us, he posted an amazing video montage of all the explosions that I was a part of from playing Rainbow Six last night. It's pretty hilarious, so check him out. But he gave a shout out to you last night talking about your skills on Rainbow Six.
I don't like to brag, but I really like that game, and part of that comes from being the fact that I'm kind of really good at it. But it's not just like the Twitch skill. Right. Because that's important. But for me, it's like the squad leadership role, which I feel like a lot of people never take up that mantle because either they don't want to talk to people online, they're talking in party chat, a lot of factors. It's not, people have busy lives, don't get me wrong. But I feel like when you go into that game with that mindset of giving squad orders, giving commands, and people listening to you and you giving feedback, that to me is like why the game is so much fun.
For sure.
Because you legitimately make friends on Xbox Live. And it becomes more and more rare as we get into these games that, kind of keep splintering the community, if you will. Because there's so many first-person shooters out there. And, Rainbow Six, as great as it still is a niche title for a lot of people. But I think, if they would try it or listen to my review from last year, you'd be surprised. This is something that is accessible enough to have fun with, but it's not as bad as Counter-Strike. Like, a lot of people try Counter-Strike, they hear all the good things about it, and then they get obliterated round after round. They get frustrated and they're like, no, this is stupid. Forget this. People are cheating or hacking or whatever. That's fine. I understand that. That game is on a whole different level. But Rainbow Six, especially on a console, I feel is much better about introducing you slowly into the mechanics, making sure you know how to play. And then from there, it's just kind of like, be a social person. You'll have a good time. Don't talk to anybody. You'll get some kills, but, you're probably going to go back to Call of Duty after a while. Nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not. Well, before we keep moving forward and do a little housekeeping, once again, gamertagradio.com. You can check us out at the website, or you can go over to play.it and check out all of our past episodes, interviews, whatnot. If you have any comments or feedback, please send them over to us via email, fanmail at gamertagradio.com. That's fanmail at gamertagradio.com, or drop us a voicemail at 786-273-7GTR, or it's 786-273-7487 for those without a alphanumeric keypad. All right, so we've got some topics keeping on the Ubisoft Tom Clancy bit. We got some information from The Division where the beta is coming out January 28th for Xbox One, and then January 29th through the 31st for everybody else. Xbox got the exclusive one-day preload on that. And if you do happen to have a beta key available, you can actually start downloading the app 48 hours prior to when it starts. So the moment it's unlocked and ready to go, you can jump right in. You don't have to wait. I'm pretty excited about this game. Obviously, I've talked, ad nauseum about the alpha, been invited out to the event. So I'm pretty stoked about this. Patrick, now that you've had a chance to listen to, the interviews and see a little bit more footage, are you still a little hesitant?
I think I'm hesitant in the way that, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to play it on day one with you guys, either as a review or just to have fun, because it looks like still, as a Tom Clancy game, there's a big role on teamwork, and I always enjoy that about games. Right. But in terms of like being addicting as things like Rainbow Six or Ghost Recon, which I play specifically because they are very difficult and require you to use 110% of your skills, Division for me, because it's an RPG, I approach RPGs with a different mindset usually. Destiny probably is that one separate child that, because it is a Halo first-person shooter, it's just fun regardless. But with an RPG like The Division and everything I've seen about it, it's just, for me, I'm not sure if I'm going to be there long term. I'm not sure if this is going to be something where I'm going to play it for the story, play it with you guys, but, will I still be there a year down the road? I'm not sure yet. Because for me, I'm already thinking, Tom Clancy, when's Ghost Recon coming out? When's Wildlands? When's the next Splinter Cell? I'm already thinking ahead. And, I don't want to throw any shade against the developers of The Division. What they're doing is very impressive. I just don't know if it's for me. But I would like to be proven wrong.
Gotcha. Well, you'll have your chance. You'll have your chance in, what is it, the 21st almost?
Yep. I signed
today,
up for the beta on PC, so I'm excited to, give it an actual shot and, go in optimistic at least and see what it's like. Because hearing your feedback really means a lot, because, me and you like pretty similar games. And, hearing you being passionate about something like that for me, watching you play E3 last year, I was super skeptical about it. But then hearing your reactions, it really goes a long way to make me go, you know what, Pete's having fun with this. There's something there. It's not just because, he is being bought and sold by Ubisoft or anything. Pete likes what he likes, and I like what I like, and usually that meshes up pretty well. So, hearing you gloat over a game gets me really excited about it.
Right. And so you said you're getting it on PC?
Yeah, I'm going to pick it up on PC, most likely.
Perfect. And actually, perfect segue, because by the time this show hits the street, the specs will already be out in the wild, and we had a chance to get them already. So minimum specs recommended are an Intel i5 or an AMD 50, I think it's a FX 6100 with 6 gigs of RAM and a GPU of a GTX 760 or a AMD 770 or better. Recommended, they're talking an i7 or one of the higher end AMDs, the FX 8350 with 8 gigs of RAM and a GTX 970 or an AMD R9 minimum to run this game. I've seen some video out in the wild of a guy running it with a 760, and it runs and looks butter smooth. I don't recall what the devs were using on their PCs, but whatever they were using, oh my god! And it was just a regular looking, HP workstation that they were working it on, but wow, like just the ability to use multi-monitor, and like I just got away from multi-monitor.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm on the fence about that, because that's like, what, do I need that? No, but it also sounds really nice and convenient as well. So what made you move away from it?
All right, so I had 2 Samsung 24-inch monitors in my office here at my house, and I've always been a big proponent of multi-monitor, especially because I not only use my gaming PC for gaming, but I also use it for work. And the ability to snap one window, or like have one dedicated for personal use and one for video, whether it's, gaming or personal work that I do. I always liked that because it gave me an opportunity to do 2 things at the same time. I got a VESA mount, or, just a regular monitor mount, so that I could mount them vertically. And I realized that after I ordered it and the monitor stand came in, that the monitors themselves didn't have any VESA mounts in the back. So I couldn't mount the monitors on the stand that I had just bought. Mm-hmm. And I kind of got like frustrated. And so I was like, all right, well, now I have to buy new monitors. And I came across this Korean IPS QNX 27-inch 2560 by 1440 monitor. And I was like, whoa. This looks pretty good. I did like 2.5 hours of research on it, and nothing but gloating, reports of performance and perfect pixels, and, you can overclock it. And I'm like, wait, you can overclock a monitor?
What?
And
That's
then,
new to me.
And then I saw the price, and they say $200 plus shipping. And I was like,
What?
I was like, is this for real? So I looked it up. I was like, this is, it's on eBay, but it's an eBay store. Like, it's a legit store with, the reviews were like 99 and higher. And I was just like, okay, well, it's $200. If it doesn't happen, I'll get my money back because I'm doing it through PayPal. Boom. I bought it on a Monday night, and Thursday morning it was delivered to my door. And I'm just like, oh. So now I've put it up. Part of me is wanting to buy another one of these monitors now, because I have the monitor stand and everything. But I mean, it's clean, it's crisp, it's beautiful. I'm actually looking at it right now, and it's just amazing the way it looks. So yeah, all right. So that was a really bad digression. I don't know why we went all the way.
No, it's all right. That was interesting to me because I was literally debating this whole time, basically being like, 4K, 2K. Am I ready?
Right.
Am I ready to make a transition? For me, 1080p has been fine for years.
Right.
And I bought a big 1080p TV last year in the Super Bowl sales. So for me, like, this year is going to be the decision point of, is there going to be a game that's going to come out that's going to make me, be like, I have to get a 4K monitor or TV for this game? Or am I just going to, like, play the waiting game and just wait for some kind of sale? So it's interesting because, like, right now, from, good segue here. So from my current experience, PC gaming at 1080p, it looks beautiful to me. And, I think that's just because I was a console gamer for so long. I was almost like living in a cave. And then finally, the boulder gets pushed out of the cave, and you walk outside, and it's bright as hell, and you're like, whoa, this looks really nice.
Yeah.
And for me, I go into Best Buys, I go to Targets, I see the 4K TVs on display, and they're beautiful, they're gorgeous. So I just think there may have to be some breaking point for me during this year. Like, some game might come out and be like, you know what, that's worth it. I got to make that transition. But hearing that you can find, solutions like that for $200, I mean, my God. I mean, I pay more than that for, 1080p, monitors of the same size in the past. That's really impressive.
Absolutely. And so while the monitor itself isn't 4K, it does what's called virtual 4K. So you could simulate a 4K experience on the monitor. It takes some tweaking in the back end. Although I am technical, I'm technically proficient. I work in IT. It's not something I think I would do full time. If I wanted full 4K playability, I would have just gotten a 4K monitor. But I mean, for $200, you're not gonna find a better deal.
That's an amazing deal.
On top of the fact, once you play on 2560 by 1440, you can't go back to 1080p at any given time anymore. So
I know. This scares me. Like, I'm gonna try it and be like, oh crap,
right?
And my TV's worthless.
As good as it is, would I go 4K at this point? I don't know, because I don't know if there's enough games out there right now that are pushing that 4K envelope. I'm sure Paris is going to listen to this next week, and he's probably gonna go crazy saying he wishes he was on the show. But
he can have his 2 cents next week. Don't
exactly.
worry.
You can call in, leave a voicemail.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
This is Gamer Tag Radio. Voicemail 786-2737-GTR.
So speaking of, we've kind of gotten on this PC kick. Speaking of PCs, Paustin, take it away.
It has happened, everybody. I've talked about this for forever. The last 2 years, it seems like, of testing my waters of joining the PC gaming master race. I've, essentially tried out PCs at Best Buy, borrowed friends' PCs, danced around the idea, but finally last year made the decision that, it's time for me to get on board and enjoy everything that everyone else has been enjoying for so long. All these amazing, unique game experiences. And, of course, the beautiful graphics and resolution that comes with them, the frame rate. So I decided to get a new computer. And there were so many options out there. I mean, my God, the research that you could do to figure out, do I want to build it myself? Do I want to go through a site? Options on options. So what it came down to is I went through so much digging of so many websites, but for me, it came down to the web, basically OriginPC, who made custom builds high-end computers, and they were wonderful to work with. They were fantastic. We have a great relationship with them. Shout out to them. They did such a great job of basically, walking me through and helping me pick out what I needed to do to basically future-proof myself, because, I wanted to have a computer that, basically would slay every game this year and hopefully next year as well, because I want to be able to, be at the cutting edge so I can, help foster these discussions and debates about technology and gaming and how far we can take this. So, let me pull up my computer properties so I can be accurate with this. All right, so right now, what I ended up with was basically a custom pre-built PC. It's a very slim, it's a Ravenstone case, so it's only about 30 pounds. It's not that heavy at all, but it's a very sleek, slim design, almost similar to like the old school 360 design in terms of like how it looks standing upright, just minus that hourglass appeal to it. So very thin, very easy, very sleek. It's not annoying. There's no LEDs going crazy everywhere. It looks nice over there. But spec-wise, what I decided to go with is I wanted to go i7. So I got a 4790K CPU at 4 gigahertz, just standard. If I want to overclock in the future, I probably will at some point, but for right now, it's all I need. 16 gigs of RAM, of course, because I want to multitask like a mother. Windows 10, obviously. But video card, this is what I debated on greatly. Dancing around of, do I need top of the line, or should I scale it back a bit? What is the best use of the money, essentially? For me, it came down to the NVIDIA 980 Ti. And essentially, that's a very high-end card. But what I told myself is, I need to be prepared for everything, because I know right now I'm stuck on 1080p, but the 4K option is there. So knowing the 4K option is there is a lot nicer to me to be like, you know what, I can wait a little bit. I can wait for a sale, because, right now, as a PC gaming noob, essentially, 1080p, 60 frames per second on a high-end machine like this looks amazing to me. I managed to get Fallout 4 up and running last night. Obviously, they've done some patches on it because it looks way better than I remember looking when it came out at launch. Beautiful game. I had The Witcher 3. It's already installed. I haven't got a chance to try it yet. It's pretty much going to be my benchmark because I adore that game on PS4. But it's just exciting. I'm finally a part of the larger fold. I can hopefully play with a lot of people out there. If you guys want to add me on Steam, my username is Paustin J. Love to get some games going. But really, right now, all I have is first-person shooters. The winter sale happened. I told myself I'd try to buy some unique, different kinds of experiences, but it still came down to, I like first-person shooters. I'm going to buy first-person shooters. So, I got things like Insurgency, Shadow Warrior, Left 4 Dead 2, obviously, Red Orchestra 2, original Fear, of course. So I'm all over the place. And then also I'm trying the EA Access Origin thing as well. So things like Battlefield 4, Dragon Age Inquisition, kind of dancing around with everything. But so far it's been amazing. The speed. I went from having a 2008 laptop with, 1.5 gigs of RAM and an ancient 2 gigahertz processor. For years I've been podcasting on that. It was so frustrating. This is just waking up. I'd been stuck in a nightmare the whole day, and then finally woke up and you know what? This is the way things should be. This is fast, efficient. It's really fun to use, and it lets me do everything I want to do. And shout out to solid state drives. My God, it's like magic. Turning on a computer, looking away for 5 seconds and looking back and the desktop's loaded, that's a miracle to me. I used to plan making sandwiches around turning on my computer and then coming back by the time it loaded. And this is just so much nicer. So I could not be happier. Thank you, Pete. You helped me tremendously
no worries.
Through the process of getting this computer put together. And thanks again to OriginPC for, being such an awesome company and helping me and hooking me up with this product. But I am loving this thing. It needs a name. I need to hit it with a bottle of, champagne or something to christen it, because it's just so freaking great. Could I be more excited about this? You can probably can't tell, but it's an amazing machine. I'm so excited for this year of gaming because, it's going to be mostly PC gaming for me, so I can try the other end of the spectrum. But I'm also still excited for all the exclusives we're going to get, like Uncharted 4, Quantum Break, things like that as well. So it's the best of both worlds, man. I'm all in. I'm excited. I guess I'm a real gamer now. To quote Danny from back in the day, once he joined the Steam race. So we're all into this now, man. Can't wait to play some games with you guys on PC.
Awesome. Well, just so that you have a chance now, I know Steam's doing the weekend sale. I think it started today. You can get Rocket League on Steam. I think it's 20 to 30% off. That's a great opportunity if you want to get something that's outside of the shooter realm.
Mm-hmm.
I think Final Fantasy 14, I think is on sale as well. So if that's something...
I had tried that on PlayStation 3 back in the day, and maybe the beta on 4. That is a fun game. I'll give a shout out to this is the Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is free to play. I remember I got to try that last year. That's a really good game as well. So yeah, I'm actually surprised at the amount of options there are available. In how welcoming PC gaming is. The community is so expanded so much, and it's incredible to me all the options that I have now. And And it's nice that I can still plug in the Xbox One and PS4 controller as well, because I mean, there's some games, even Fallout 4, it's kind of, after a while, I'm just kind of not digging the mouse and keyboard, and I'm like, I'm gonna go back to Xbox One controller. It feels comfortable, it's natural, and I get, the nicest resolution rate possible. So it's total win-win. I'm loving it. But yeah, I'll definitely have to check out Rocket League on PC, because I know all of you guys play it, and even though I'm terrible at it, I'm sure I can get better if I try, if I practice. Still, it's frustrating playing games you're not immediately good at.
That's okay. I mean, and actually, you know what? A sidebar real quick. You mentioned Star Wars: The Old Republic. I think they just came out with a patch or some major downloadable content or update for the game that changes a lot of the ways that people play the game. You may want to look into that, because I've seen a lot of reports of people being really, really happy with the way that game turned out as a result of, I think it's update 4.0.
Oh, okay, well, good to know. Yeah, I haven't tried it since last year, when I just, I was borrowing my friend's computer to play Fallout 4. I was like, you know what? I've heard a lot of things, good and bad, about Star Wars, but at the end of the day, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I got to admit, I was disappointed in Battlefront last year. So for me, I want to be a Jedi or want to be a Sith. I tried the Star Wars MMO, and I think I got to like level 15 or whatever, and that actually is a surprisingly fun game. And I was playing it solo. I mean, I was essentially playing it as a KOTOR 3, because you have a unique character story. You don't have to group up with anybody for anything until much later in the game. So I was having a blast. I guess the only detriment is, if you want to pay the monthly fee, you probably level faster. You probably have extra bonuses and stuff like that on top of that.
I think they modified some of that.
Did they?
Yeah,
that's
but they call it's update 4, I think, or it's major update 4, something like that. But it's actually Knights of the Fallen Empire. It actually came out in October.
Okay, that new DLC. Yeah.
Yes. So that allegedly fixes a lot of the problems that people were complaining about. So, that's.
Very cool.
Hopefully, I may have to download that re-download that onto my PC, because I loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. It is a time sucker though, so that's
very much so. Yes, that's every MMO though. You're better off just disabling the clock in the game and just like being like, no, I don't want to think about how bad this addiction is. But come on, it's Star Wars. It's fun. We need more Star Wars games. Come on, EA.
Wow. But let's switch it up. I know you were talking about some older games, so we're going to talk backwards compatibility. Xbox One gets 10 more backwards compatibility games pointed out, including The Witcher 2. Now,
did you play that one, or did you skip it?
I didn't. My first experience into the Witcher series has been Witcher 3. So as great as Witcher 3 was, where you could come in and you essentially really didn't need to know what happened in 1 and 2.
The parts of the beginning were a little vague, honestly, but I filled in my own blanks. So I could see the appeal of going back to the older games.
Absolutely. And now that it's free,
it's
even better. Unfortunately, it's on Xbox as opposed to the PC Master Race, and I'm going to try to move us away from that elitism here that we're starting to acquire because we're talking about PC games here. But yeah, now you can get that. They also announced, Microsoft did, that they're no longer going to do a monthly backwards compatibility release. It's going to become available as they're completed. So instead of having to wait for, these 10 games are the backwards compatibility games of the month that are getting released. No, they're now going to be like, they got released on Tuesday. Tuesday, it's live. Here you go. And the next one is, Barbie's, Horse Adventures comes out on Thursday. This is Thursday. Here it is. Boom. So I kind of like that, where now it's no longer a big deal. Now it's just going to be a nice steady stream of backwards compatibility games that actually should help people like myself, where I don't have to worry about my daughter taking over my Xbox. So she can play it on her own. We're going to switch gears over to Nintendo. This is typically not an area that I feel comfortable talking about. I'm not a Nintendo guy, but some information did get leaked. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna put the big capital rumor on here because I'm skeptical, because I am a Nintendo fan, one that does not own a Wii U, because I expect more out of them. I know they can do better. So this was a tweet. It got passed around. Apparently it's from a document quoting some of the bullet points of the NX, some kind of internal memo. Again, no source on this. This could be fake, but it's all we have right now. So again, we're grasping at breadcrumbs essentially until Nintendo graces us with more information. But what this breaks down to, basically, a couple of things. two things: the features of the game. They're confirming they want to have games like Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong. Obviously, want to be part of the new system to help move units. They want Nintendo Network to be a larger part of the experience than it has in the past. They want a direct connection between the NX console and the handhelds like the 3DS. They want it to be easy to use. They want to have surf the web capabilities. They want you to be able to make video calls in your TV. Now, here's where it gets interesting. It says it possibly could support 4K streaming at 60 FPS for videos, which is really interesting. On the other side of the spectrum, it makes the claim that the graphics right now, with whatever CPU and GPU they're using right now, is looking at a 900p maximum at 60 FPS.
So it's an Xbox.
Yeah. So this is why I'm so hesitant, because I'm like, Nintendo should know better. I refuse to believe that everyone in those Japanese offices lives in the Stone Age and thinks that 1080p isn't important. Obviously, 4K on Nintendo, let's get serious. That's not going to happen. But 1080p is the standard now. I think every game in 2016 should be 1080p 60 FPS on a console. That's just the world we live in now. So I'm thinking that they're going to have to maybe dance around the idea of lowering that to 900p. I'm not okay with that whatsoever. Regardless of how good the games are, I think Nintendo needs to set a principle in terms of attracting third parties, because this has always been Nintendo's issue, is third parties are always hesitant to work with them outside of the really large companies like the EAs and the Activisions who have the resources to it didn't sell that many copies, no big loss. But other not as large, more of the middle range publishers are getting more hesitant because they want to develop for the future. Obviously the 3DS is where they're developing games for the everyday consumer. But I would like for the NX, ideally for me, to be a system that says like, hey, Xbox, PlayStation gamers, don't forget about Nintendo. We can do this with the best of them. Don't get us wrong. We have our great lineup, so we can still make a competitive product that can directly compete with the Xbox and the PlayStation. We don't have to play our little outside the Venn diagram game that we've been playing for the last couple of generations anymore. We can come back in and be a threat again. Because I think a lot of people are open to the idea of Nintendo taking a larger place in the gaming sphere. Obviously, Nintendo fans listening out there are being like, no, duh, we've been joining Nintendo games for years. But, if you've been like me and you've been in Xbox land or PlayStation land this whole time, you've been missing Nintendo. And, again, if you own a Wii, that's great. It's just, I don't like it. It's not for me. But the NX, I want that to be something great. I want me to be excited, pick one up day one, tell all my friends. I want that to be the next big deal, because Nintendo always generates hype when they say something. They're very good about secrets, but I hope they're still looking at the markets and doing research to be like, look, there's people out here that are very vocal about what this console should be. Let's at least listen to them. Obviously, there's some crazy people out there that go too insane with their demands, but let's at least have that dialogue, because sometimes it feels like, when you have these companies, they're all the way across the Pacific Ocean from us. It just seems like there's almost an alienation of we have almost no involvement at all in, giving critical feedback to Nintendo to be like, look, this is what you're doing wrong. Perfect example of Nintendo Network. They have made great strides to make that more fun. Splatoon, great example. That is a great online game for the Wii U. They need to keep pushing that forward. They need to be as competitive, because I think Nintendo could possibly go back to taking second or even first place. They just need to take third parties seriously and make their great existing franchises, but also start pushing the new IPs as well. They need to take risk. They have all of that windfall, all that money saved up from the Wii. I know they can take risk. I think should be the time to do that.
But do they have the infrastructure to support an online?
I think they need to, whatever they have, if they can build it up, great. If not, tear it down. You start over. Again, it's 2016. It comes back to the same issue that PlayStation has had since day one, where you can't change your name on there because their database is so ancient and archaic. That's an issue. Nintendo should realize that, if we want to stay current, and be a force, because obviously the 3DS is fine. It is the best handheld on the planet, no question. It's doing great. But their console space for me is lacking. And I think the NX is perfectly set up. It's the right time. It's the right place. And hopefully at the right price with the right specs, it can make waves in the industry, just like they used to because basically whenever Nintendo talks, we're listening. But it's gotten to the point now where it's kind of, you're maybe not as attentive as you used to be, because you're so distracted by PlayStation, Xbox, 3DS, PC, things like that. I think Nintendo is poised to make basically steal E3 this year. That's my prediction. I think Nintendo could really blow up the industry if they'd approach the NX right and announce it right.
So do you think, and I'm jumping on the Miss Cleo box here. Do you think Nintendo would ever hazard VR?
No, that's not their game. I mean, look at the Virtual Boy back in the day. And I know that's a completely different situation in terms of technology, but I think Nintendo, that is too... I mean, why would they do that R&D when there's already companies like Sony and Facebook now doing it for them with the Oculus and the Morpheus? If I was Nintendo, I would see no reason to even get into that field until Sony or Facebook or even HTC can prove that this is viable, that there is interest here, that this is not just
with the Wii Fit.
I'll hold my opinion on that. If you like Wii Fit, that's great. But I mean, VR, I think, is going to be the future for the hardcore gaming as an option. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to become mandatory. We're not going to live in some Matrix future, but it's still going to be something where, like, the truly hardcore gamers being like, you know what, this does add something extra to my game. It's worth the investment. And once developers see that, they're like, oh, great, people are putting interest in putting their money where their mouth is on this. Let's develop games around this, or let's make sure that we develop our game to have a unique aspect that caters to the VR system. But I think Nintendo right now, because they have been lagging behind spec-wise for the last couple of generations, the only thing they need to worry about is basically making an Ultra Nintendo. They need to make a little black box that has the same specs, for me, at least the same power as a PS4. I think that should be like the absolute minimum. If they can get above that, fantastic. But you want to have something that can go right at the throat of Sony, because I would say that's their direct competitor. Microsoft makes two different kinds of games. The Microsoft games are so Western, where Nintendo's are universal while Japanese at the same time. So I feel like there's not that much crossover between the two. But I think then Sony is in a position where they could be threatened by Nintendo, because Nintendo could directly start, cutting into their bottom line. Ideally, I'd like to start seeing Final Fantasy and Metal Gear on Nintendo systems again. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes on the GameCube, I think, is one of the best Metal Gear Solid games ever made. I think it's superior to the original PlayStation 1 Metal Gear in every regard. So Nintendo, they have the opportunity to do this. They just have to get out, put themselves out there, take that risk, make that announcement, be proud, be boastful if you have to. You're Nintendo. You've earned this. You saved the game industry back in the crash years ago. We owe everything to you. Now, prove to us that you can still be king again. I want them to be king again.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
This is Gamer Tag Radio. Voicemail 786-2737-GTR.
So speaking of VR, our good friend Michael Pachter, on his latest episode of the Pachter Factor, made a prediction that he thinks that Project Morpheus, when it ever does hit the public, is going to be priced at about $400.
Notably, $200 undercutting the Oculus.
Correct. So there's arguments for both. I can definitely see Sony doing it simply because they've got the accessibility to PS4 owners already having an established sales base. So it's easier to get that out there.
Yes.
But at the same time, with PS4 being the aberration, PlayStation has always been the more expensive one. And seeing as this is more of an experiment concept versus, it's more of an accessory, there's not a guarantee that they're going to sell as many as there has been, PS4 sales.
Mm-hmm. And there will be. Don't get me wrong. It's still, even in 2016, it's still a niche idea, because it comes down to, this is one of those things, you're not going to believe it until you try it. And unfortunately, they don't have like a demo station down at the mall you can go run down to check it out. And it doesn't work that way, sadly. If you can somehow get to one of these, conventions, industry shows, the PAX is out there, even E3 if possible, things like that, GDC, those have places, opportunities to let you try this firsthand. And again, I've said this many times on the show, it wasn't until I actually tried Oculus and Morpheus to be like, oh, wow, this is great. I have to have this. I can totally see the appeal of being more immersed in certain types of games, and others I wouldn't use it. I probably wouldn't use it for most first-person shooters in the near future, just because I prefer the old school method. It had to be something unique, but slower paced games, especially horror games, things like Allison Road, the PT spiritual successor, other things like Alien Isolation, which has had that added onto it as well. That excites me. Things that, would immerse me into a world like, Jonathan Blow's The Witness, another great example. That looks like it'd be a fun VR game if they want to do that. So the interest is there, but like you said, PlayStation has the advantage right now because there's way more PS4 owners than there are any high-end PC owners out there. I mean, PS4 is wonderful, right? It's doing fantastic. I think it all comes down to killer apps for PlayStation. They have to be willing to get their developers to fully commit to this and not, just kind of commit and be like, do like a little mini game on the side or something. No, it has to be a core part of the game design. Make sure you get the Morpheus dev kits to them as early as possible and work with them, actively develop with them to help them make it the best it can be. So that way, when you do show it off, it blows it out of the park. You don't have the situation where you have like a lukewarm launch because it comes out with a couple of tech demos essentially, and that kills all the interest right there. It's like, oh, cool, you can walk around a virtual theme park, or you can virtually skydive. Okay, that's nice. No, come on, let's be more creative with this. This opens up a lot of new doors, new possibilities, new gaming experiences. I'm very receptive to it. I'm highly looking forward to it. So I think Sony, the ball's in their court right now. They can make this work. I do personally. I think $400 is a bit much. If I was Sony, I would say make it $300. Take that hit financially, but make it at a price that is at least appealing to the largest amount of people possible. Because I think at $300, that's enough where it's a premium item. People are like, that looks pretty nice and it has a pretty decent price, so it must be made well, but it's also not $600 like the Oculus said. Seems like $600? Who would ever spend $600 on anything? You don't want that disgust reaction to it.
So my argument to that is, if you look at, what is it? Oculus is what, $500, $600?
$600, yeah.
They've already said that the Steam version of it, the Vive or whatever, is going to be, or Vive, HTC Vive, is going to be more. That's already been, I think it was the one of the guys over there at HTC.
I think they're crazy, I'll be perfectly honest.
They said it was going to be more. So even if Sony sells it at 500, 400, 500, they're already the lower priced version.
And I think they will be the lowest priced version regardless. Whatever these prices end up being, I almost can guarantee Sony will still be the cheapest one, because that's their game, and they should be, because again, more people have PS4s than people have a PC that is even capable of running VR right now.
So do you think that they're going to bundle it? I mean, obviously they're going to sell it separately for those that already have it, but can you see like a $600 Oculus, or I'm sorry, Morpheus / PS4 bundle?
I could see it, yeah. I could see it being like, like a collector's edition they announce and you pre-order it. So basically, they don't have to shoot themselves in the foot by over mass producing these things. Make it initially like, hey, if you really want this, you guys are essentially going to be the first to get this out here, go ahead and you pre-order it essentially, like a direct pre-order through Sony itself, like their Sony PlayStation Store. So that way people that, are, you haven't gotten a PlayStation 4 yet and are thinking like, what, I could be willing to check this out. I could take this risk. This sounds interesting. Get them first, look at the interest, and then, decide how many of the units you should actually make for the SKU by itself. Just the $299 version, ideally. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of people that are receptive to it, but again, it goes both ways. I think if I was Sony, I would test the waters first with pre-orders and not just mass produce them. Because I don't want to be set up in a warehouse. Because again, for me, this comes down to I'm not probably going to get the first version of these. I will get the second version because I don't want to beta test this. Essentially, I want to know how it works, how well it works, what the games are like. But then with my own money, it's like still if I'm going to get one of these, this is going to be a long-term purchase. And I want them to basically make sure that everything possible that, could be fixed from a first version is fixed in a second version. And again, I don't want to, throw shade at early adopters who would be there day one. Yeah, that's great. We love that people are early adopters out there. That helps keep the industry driving forward because word of mouth is so important in this industry. But just for me, for my $300 to $400 to $500, $600, I'm just not taking that risk. I want it to be, when I purchase a VR headset, it's going to be the one that lasts for 10 years because it's like, this is the final version, and they can keep making more. That's fine. But as long as mine lasts and I'm not feeling like I have to replace the thing to keep up with the technology, that's what I'm afraid of. I don't want this to turn into like a technology war like what Apple does with their iProducts. I don't want a new VR headset every year.
I don't think sales is going to be an issue with this. Look at Oculus. That's $600. It's sold out in 14 minutes. Now, we don't know if that's because their pre-sale limit was 100.
Yes,
or was it
I want to know that. Like, how many was the cutoff point?
Yeah,
because otherwise that doesn't mean anything. That just looks good on, to investors like, hey, we sold out pre-orders. And they're like, well, how many did you sell? And they're like, it doesn't matter. We sold out pre-orders. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But good for them. I'm glad it is successful and the interest is still there because this has been a long development cycle. This has been a long ride keeping up with this, and even still, we're not even done yet. Who even knows when this is going to actually hit store shelves and be like, look, it finally exists. You can go pick it up, and then we can start this conversation about, all right, now, is it working? Is it worth it? What are the killer apps?
Right.
So it's really going to be interesting this year. I'm very looking forward to following the development of all three, HTC, the Morpheus, and the Oculus, because it's exciting. I love new technology.
I can't wait. So we've got, and again, by the time the show comes out on the 28th, I believe is when it is, this will already be a thing. But Sega on their Facebook page announced a potential classics revival that's going to be announced on Friday the 22nd. Do you think that's something we're going to see along the lines of Altered Beast on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One type thing?
Rise from your grave. God, I hope so. Altered Beast is amazing. I'd love for that to come back. Like someone said, Shining Force, that'd be a great one too. There's a lot of Streets of Rage. There's a lot of things here that are great old school Sega IPs that have just been kind of sitting around collecting dust over the years.
Golden Axe.
Golden Axe. Like everything's good. Like I don't care what it is. I'm excited.
I guess so. We're looking at a rare replay version from Sonic from Sega. And the boys.
My gosh! Please, yes.
30-in-1.
Please tell me that's a thing. Oh, cause Sega's Genesis is my childhood, man. I grew up with Sega. Because Sega does what Nintendo, man. You picked a side back then, and I was all team
went
Sega. There. Of course, I went there, man. I was a kid in the '90s. How could I not? So yeah, that's I'm excited. I hope it's something good. I'd love if it's actually a Sega replay collection. I'd hop onto that in a heartbeat.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't think it would be an episode of Gamertag Radio if I didn't throw out something Destiny related.
Please do. I have been so out of I haven't gone back to Destiny in forever now. What's going on in the world of Destiny these days,
All right,
Pete?
So since Bungie has a habit of doing holiday-themed events, with Valentine's Day fast approaching, they're going to be doing a Valentine's Day event. I believe it starts the week that this show will be out for a week or two, and it's going to be similar to what they did with Halloween, where you have to go on little mini missions and get prizes and get gifts, etc. Everything's going to be tattered in red and pink, I'm assuming, all over the tower. But they're also bringing a new mode to the Crucible, a 2v2 Crucible.
Interesting.
So get your partner, Do-si-do, head on over to Emperor, or was it Saladin, and jump into some Crucible matches 2v2, which you would think it'd be more suited 1v1, because it's Valentine's Day, but couple. I guess it's a couples battle.
Yeah, well, because they don't want you to be like forever alone feeling. You don't want to be like, oh man, I'm on a team by myself. Oh, I'm alone by myself too. That you don't want people to be too self-aware of what they're doing. I think 2 vs 2 was the right call. That should be more fun in the spirit of things. I'm actually reading the Bungie update right now as we're talking. They have some concept pictures of what the tower will look like. That looks really, look at all that red. That's
That's hideous.
More
I'm
rose
sorry.
petals than American Beauty, man. Look at that.
It's hideous.
Crazy. But I don't know, man. I've been kind of waiting for something to get me back into Destiny, and I don't know if it's going to take actual new in-game content, because I mean, now that I'm PC gaming, I don't really feel the urge to go play Crucible like I used to. I mean, it's still just as fun as it ever was, but now I have a lot of more options. And but again, hey, if they ever want to put Destiny on PC, hit nudge nudge, I would I'd double down in a heartbeat, no question.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
I'll leave that ball in Bungie's court.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something I want to deal with. I mean, I have supremely fallen off the Destiny bus. I don't see me going back, and that's a shame because I had so much good times with that title. But anyways, in closing, you got anything else you want to talk about tonight? This has been a pretty random show. We've gone all over the place.
I know,
we've hit everything: PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. Is there anything else we could talk about?
I'm blanking, man. No.
All right. Well, I guess
I
guess we'll end on that note. So once again, we appreciate any comments and feedbacks. Please send us an email if you have any questions or concerns about the show. You have any topics you think you'd like for us to discuss. Send them on over to fanmail@gamertagradio.com or drop us a voicemail at 786-2737-GTR. Check out our past shows over at play.it. Thank you so much to CBS for supporting Gamertag Radio. So I think with that, we're going to close out the show. So from Pete and from Paustin, y'all have a great day.
You're listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week.